The future won't pause for your hesitation. Somewhere inside you exists a person you haven't discovered yet. More powerful, more capable, more relentless than you've ever imagined. And the single barrier separating you from that individual is where you direct your focus. Too many years have passed watching you invest your spirit into those who questioned your worth, into demands that drained your soul, into a society that taught you to put yourself last on every list. Things shift now. This year marks the turning point. This year, the choice is yours alone. These are the 6 essential principles you must embrace as 2026 unfolds. Guard your vitality without apology. The concept appears straightforward, perhaps even overused, yet it forms the bedrock of genuine change. Vitality transcends simple excitement or drive. It's the inner reservoir fueling your choices, your feelings, your ability to evolve. In an existence saturated with distractions, judgments, responsibilities, and demands, your vitality transforms into the resource everyone craves yet rarely values. Consider how frequently you've suppressed your desires to maintain harmony, overextended yourself satisfying others, or internalized toxicity because resistance seemed harder than acceptance. This pattern dissolves now. Prioritizing your psychological, emotional, and physical vitality isn't narcissism, it's wisdom. An exhausted individual cannot construct tomorrow. A fragmented consciousness cannot generate insight. A neglected soul cannot support anyone else. Vitality protection starts with awareness. It begins by noticing when depletion strikes, when certain presences drain you, when duties leave you hollow rather than satisfied. Most react to exhaustion only after collapse. This year, you'll master anticipation, prevention, and redirection before burnout conquers you. Guarding your vitality requires reconsidering accessibility. The privilege of reaching your time, attention, emotions, and even your quiet moments belongs to the worthy, not the entitled. We've permitted too many interruptions to our tranquility simply through historical precedent. We answer endless calls, reply to constant messages, extinguish emotional crises others refuse to manage. We surrender our agenda for someone else's turmoil. Unlimited accessibility to everyone guarantees nothing remains for yourself. Regulated access isn't coldness, it's maturity. It recognizes that relationships don't all merit identical intimacy. Some belong close, some in the periphery, some should never return. Society has programmed you to fear that boundaries destroy connections. Reality reveals the opposite. Authentic boundaries expose which connections were genuine from the start. Those respecting your limits respect your journey. Those attempting guilt, manipulation, or accusations of selfishness were exploiting your previous lack of boundaries. This year, you redefine tolerance and embrace refusal without remorse. Not every opportunity aligns with your aspirations. Not every argument demands your participation. Not every individual deserves your openness. Vitality protection also means intentional environment selection. The places you inhabit, physical or digital, sculpt your emotional terrain. The discussions you engage shape your perspective. The content you absorb conditions your unconscious mind. Most underestimate how external static gradually erodes internal strength. Negative colleagues, envious friends, dysfunctional family dynamics, social media comparison spirals. These are silent predators. They plunder your self-assurance, concentration, and happiness one encounter at a time. Become the sentinel of what penetrates your psychological and emotional territory. Design your surroundings deliberately. Position yourself among individuals who inspire expanded thinking, who applaud your advancement rather than resent it, who propel you toward your aspirational self. If such people aren't nearby, choose solitude over company that diminishes you. Intentional isolation isn't abandonment, it's preparation. Guarding your vitality sometimes requires selecting stillness over superficial conversation, serenity over external approval, and mission over acceptance. Another dimension exists, your internal adversary. The most relentless drainage isn't always external. Frequently, the harshest resistance inhabits your thoughts. That voice questioning your value, challenging your abilities, replaying mistakes, comparing your journey, anticipating rejection before it materializes. It depletes vitality faster than any person, Internal narratives construct identity. Unconsciously accepting restrictive beliefs sabotages potential before emergence becomes possible. Vitality protection demands mental rigor. Awareness of automatic thoughts, followed by interrogation. Ask yourself who instilled this doubt. Where did this conviction begin? Whose voice echoes when I criticize myself? Many self-judgments were inherited. Family, culture, upbringing, past wounds. They aren't truths. They're programmed stories. Rewriting them demands deliberate work. Affirmations alone won't dismantle deeply embedded beliefs, but sustained awareness, internal exploration, and positive reinforcement will weaken the internal opponent who's resided unchallenged for years. This year, protecting vitality means refusing your internal critic the authority to determine your trajectory. It also demands clarity regarding priorities. Without direction, everything appears urgent. Everyone claims a piece. You accept opportunities distracting from purpose. You respond to circumstances rather than creating them. Defining what matters most, your ambitions, principles, non-negotiables, aligns actions with intention. You cease investing effort into activities that don't serve you. You recognize when situations drain rather than develop you. Time becomes precious. Rest becomes tactical. Productivity becomes purposeful. Prioritization demonstrates self-respect. It broadcasts to yourself and the world, my existence has trajectory, and I refuse deviation by fleeting distractions. When you protect your schedule, misunderstanding may follow. Offense may arise when invitations are declined or responses delayed. Remember, you're not responsible for managing their reactions. You're responsible for safeguarding your future. Prioritization forces evaluation, not just of desired actions, but desired identity. Your vitality must flow toward alignment, evolution, and purpose, not convenience, obligation, or guilt. Finally, protecting vitality requires resilience. Because when self-prioritization begins, resistance emerges. The instant you establish boundaries, those who benefited from their absence will resist. They'll question your transformation, scrutinize your motivations, attempt pulling you back into familiar dynamics. Remain steadfast. Growth exposes attachments never rooted in genuine respect. Vitality protection demands courage, the courage to release draining relationships, sabotaging habits, and outgrown identities. Misunderstanding will come. Discomfort will arrive, but discomfort bursts transformation. Choosing to protect vitality isn't withdrawing from existence. It's positioning yourself to ascend within it. This year, your vitality becomes sacred. You select peace over pandemonium, clarity over chaos, self-respect over validation. Protecting your vitality protects your future. The instant you declare your peace non-negotiable, transformation begins. Discipline forms the pathway between your current self and your potential self. People romanticize achievement, imagining it's powered by inspiration, spontaneous revelations, or fortune. Anyone who's accomplished something significant understands otherwise. Discipline lacks glamour. Excitement eludes it. It's repetitive, occasionally isolating, frequently uncomfortable. Yet discipline is liberation masquerading as sacrifice. Every decision made, every habit reinforced, every self-promise honored sculpts destiny. In 2026, discipline cannot remain casual. It must be deliberate, organized, unshakable. Dreams collapse not from insufficient potential, but from inconsistent execution. Building discipline transcends working toward objectives. You're reconstructing identity. You're declaring through behavior, not wishes, who you'll become. You're affirming, I can trust myself. That carries power. Power no external validation can replicate. The initial step toward discipline is accepting discomfort. Most quit not from incapability, but from expecting comfort. Growth rarely feels pleasant. Early rising is uncomfortable. Maintaining plans when motivation vanishes is uncomfortable. Confronting weaknesses rather than hiding them is uncomfortable. But discomfort isn't a stop signal. It's evidence you're stretching beyond limitations. Humans instinctively choose ease at progress's expense. In 2026, you reverse this pattern. You'll choose strengthening paths, not comfortable ones. You'll postpone gratification because immediate pleasure steals lasting fulfillment. Discipline teaches resisting momentary impulses that undermine your future. Here's truth: every broken self-commitment weakens self-belief. Every kept one reinforces power. Discipline isn't perfection, it's persistence. It's returning repeatedly even unwatched. Even when growth crawls, even when rewards remain invisible. To construct discipline, create systems, not motivation dependencies. Motivation fluctuates. It wavers. It dissolves under pressure, emotional upheaval, or external demands. Systems don't. Systems anchor habits when motivation crumbles. Consider this. Elite athletes don't question daily whether training appeals to them. They follow schedules. Successful entrepreneurs don't await inspiration bursts. They follow routines supporting productivity. People transforming lives don't wait for ideal moods. They create ideal environments. In 2026, discipline means establishing standards that endure regardless of feelings. It means scheduling priorities rather than prioritizing schedules. It means committing to purpose, aligned habits, and eliminating potential draining ones. This may require earlier waking, limiting interruptions, intentional time management, planning days instead of reacting, tracking progress honestly. Building systems eliminates negotiation from crucial choices. You don't debate taking action, you simply execute. But discipline isn't merely external routines. It requires internal evolution. To sustain discipline, mindset must transform. Self-dialogue becomes critical. If you constantly declare lacking willpower, always failing at consistency, or finding discipline impossible, then identity becomes obstacle. The human brain craves coherence. It wants action, belief alignment. Viewing yourself as inconsistent triggers subconscious sabotage of contradictory actions. To change behavior long-term, redefine self-perception. Speak with authority. Affirm commitment through action, not just language. When obstacles surface, and they will, don't interpret them as quit signals. View them as discipline sharpening opportunities. Your internalized narrative becomes the foundation for habits. In 2026, discipline requires mental fortitude, willingness to do necessary things even when circumstances attempt derailment. This mental transformation initiates self-mastery. Another critical discipline element is accountability. Holding yourself accountable eliminates blaming circumstances, people, or timing for inaction. You stop disguising excuses as justifications. Accountability demands honesty, the kind forcing pattern examination without softening reality. Did you skip the workout from exhaustion or comfort seeking? Did you procrastinate because tasks overwhelmed or fear hid beneath distraction? Did you avoid action from time scarcity or time mismanagement? Accountability requires confronting truth even when painful. Sometimes accountability means removing enablers, people who encourage excuses, normalize inconsistency, or diminish your ambitions. Surround yourself with individuals who challenge your excuses, not validate them. Share ambitions with people who respectfully call you out when actions misalign. Remember, external accountability is temporary. Internal accountability is transformational. In 2026, discipline means becoming the person who does necessary things because integrity demands it, not because someone's observing. Finally, discipline must root in purpose. Purposeless effort feels draining. Purpose-fueled effort feels unstoppable. Many struggle with consistency because they never connect habits to futures. They focus on tasks, not transformation. Understanding the why behind discipline makes every sacrifice meaningful. Every repetition becomes progress. Every delayed gratification becomes investment. In 2026, discipline means anchoring habits to the vision you hold for your existence. Who do you want to be 12 months forward? What life do you want awakening to? What legacy are daily choices constructing? When temptations surface, remember discipline isn't denying pleasure, it's directing it. You're not restricting life, you're designing it. Success won't arrive overnight, won't be accidental. It will be shaped choice by choice, habit by habit, moment by moment. Discipline is the compass maintaining alignment when distractions threaten direction. It's the silent force separating extraordinary existences from ordinary ones. It's the greatest gift you can give yourself in 2026. Master discipline, and you'll never fear failure again. Your consistency will guarantee ascension. Healing what wounds you is among the most confronting, courageous choices a human can make. Pain carries weight, certainly, but resistance to facing it weighs heavier. Most carry emotional injuries like invisible burdens, pretending non-existence because acknowledgement feels dangerous. We bury trauma beneath business, hide heartbreak behind humor, silence anxiety with distractions, normalize dysfunction through familiarity. Suppressed pain doesn't vanish, it transforms. It shapes conduct, influences decisions, seeps into relationships. What you refuse confronting will eventually dominate you. Healing commences with honesty, the courage to face yourself without excuses, denial, or protection. It requires acknowledging pain without diminishing it and accepting experiential truth you can no longer justify or rationalize. The objective isn't dwelling in suffering, but illuminating the darkness keeping you trapped. Healing demands vulnerability, and vulnerability demands strength. In 2026, stop fleeing from what wounds and instead permit yourself to feel, process, and release. To heal what hurts, first recognize the patterns pain produces. We repeat cycles not from desire, but because familiarity feels safer than uncertainty. Trauma becomes behavioral blueprint. People pleasing to prevent abandonment. Overachieving to earn love. Shutting down to block rejection. Staying silent to avoid conflict. These patterns were once survival mechanisms. Now they're self-sabotaging weights. Healing means identifying beliefs beneath these patterns. Fear of inadequacy, of excess, of losing people, of being unlovable. It means questioning unconsciously accepted stories love must be earned. Expressing needs is selfish. Rest is weakness. Affection is conditional. Pain is inevitable. When you view patterns not as flaws but as pain adaptations, compassion replaces shame. That compassion becomes the gateway to transformation. In 2026, healing requires curiosity about your inner world, not judgment. Ask yourself difficult questions. Sit with uncomfortable answers. Be willing to dismantle pain-built identities rather than truth-built ones. Healing also demands releasing blame. Not because others deserve easy forgiveness, but because you deserve profound freedom. Blame keeps wounds open. It ties emotional pain to others' actions, making your healing dependent on their remorse. You may never receive apologies. You may never hear explanations making sense of hurt. Healing doesn't erase injustice. It breaks its grip on identity. Releasing blame doesn't rewrite history. It reclaims present power. Releasing self-blame is equally vital. We often punish ourselves for what we didn't know, couldn't control, or didn't choose. We internalize guilt for trusting people who broke us or remaining in situations we weren't ready to leave. Healing means reminding yourself that you survived using the best methods available. Self-forgiveness isn't excusing mistakes. It's acknowledging humanity. In 2026, healing means shifting from "why did this happen to me?" to "what can I learn, reclaim, and rebuild because of it?" Another healing layer is releasing attachments to pain-built identities. When hurt becomes familiar, we unconsciously cling. Pain can become comfortable because growth requires uncertainty. You may cling to roles, the strong one never breaking, the caretaker sacrificing everything, the perfectionist hiding flaws, the martyr tolerating mistreatment silently. These roles temporarily protect but eventually imprison. Healing requires loosening grip on narratives limiting evolution. The strong one deserves softness. The caretaker deserves care. The perfectionist deserves grace. The silent one deserves voice. Many fear healing because pain is predictable. Peace demands unfamiliar responsibility. Healing shifts identity from victimhood to authorship, from survival to self-mastery. In 2026, healing asks you to surrender who you had to be and step into who you're meant to become. Healing doesn't happen alone. Even the strongest need support. Society glorifies self-reliance until requesting help feels weak. But healing amplifies through connection, therapy, community, vulnerability with trusted people. Speaking truth releases it from silence's prison. Sharing pain doesn't transfer burden. It dissolves shame and isolation. Healing conversations require safety and honesty, not perfection. You may fear judgment or misunderstanding, but remaining silent damages more. Trauma thrives in secrecy. Healing multiplies when witnessed with compassion. However, not everyone deserves access to your pain. Choose wisely. Trust selectively. Seek those who listen without dismissing, who empathize without self-centering, who support growth instead of enabling stagnation. In 2026, healing means